Um, fellas, good to have you here. Jim, you're back. Second appearance on the pod. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
Yeah. And Jimmy, first appearance on the pod, first time we've ever spoken. So I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, super excited. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. The Frico King. Yeah, tell me first, Jim, I'd love to do just like your background. I've read the COVID story, but maybe our listeners aren't familiar and sort of how you became this pizza influencer and instructor.
Is that for me?
Yeah. Oh, did I say Jim? I meant Jimmy. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. No, I mean, yeah, it was like, I always loved pizza growing up as a kid. Who doesn't? You always have fond memories of your favorite pizza place growing up and whatnot. But never really got into making it. Maybe here and there, every few weeks. Nothing serious. Slogging around with the store bought dough, and then COVID hits. You're at home. You're stuck. You got all this time on your hands. So I start messing around with. Originally started out with bread, making bread. And then I was like, oh, why don't I try to make pizza dough? So then it got into dough.
Yeah.
Then I was like, everybody's on Instagram. So I start seeing like Detroit style pizzas popping up everywhere. And that's where I like got zoned in on that style. I was like, the Frico like kind of really intrigued me. And so I got like laser focused on that. And but then I still like doing other styles. So like that's one thing. I don't like to be just sort of like shoehorned into one style. Like I love all styles of pizza. So it just sort of kept evolving. And then, I got an uni, graduated from the home oven, got the uni, started messing with the uni. And then, now I'm an uni ambassador, which it turned into that. And then, I don't know, started competing at a Pizza Expo in Vegas. It just sort of ballooned into all this whole other like side hustle. Started doing pop-ups at a local brewery. Just kind of got into all aspects of pizza and really enjoying it. Found the community, which the pizza community is awesome.
Yeah.
Just really welcoming, and everybody's like super willing to share tips and tricks and whatnot, and just a really awesome camaraderie and community there. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it. So just still plugging away at pizza and doing whatever we like. And then it sort of went into the teaching, the virtual pizza academy, which, Jim can probably touch on like how we started that. We started with this live class, which we really like. He got invited to do this class, and he called me up. He's like, hey, do you want to partner with me on this? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So that was sort of the genesis of the next chapter of like starting to teach.
I think that's a good next step. But Jim Mirabelli, I want to go back one step further and just how did you guys meet? I mean, I'm sure you like it was a DM slide at some point, but tell me the story, and then how you decided to do classes.
Well, I know I've quickly followed Jimmy because I follow anybody that I can find in the pizza sphere. And he had this very distinct style of posting. Like he's also a talented photographer as well. Yeah. So I just remember kind of just being enamored with the content and didn't necessarily know who he was. And then people, since we're both from Pennsylvania, they kind of lump us together. And it was just kind of a natural discussion. I may have reached out and asked a question about something. I'm not sure exactly what the initial contact was, but we were kind of commenting on each other's stuff for a little bit. And then, we got into, I'm sure we had some commonalities with Philadelphia sports teams and just like hit it off right away, and next thing you know, we're talking every day and, kind of dreaming big things and launching a pizza school, but kind of, that evolution, didn't happen overnight, but we were always kind of doing our own separate things, but also, we bounce ideas off each other. And whether it's, in the social space, the pizza space, just, is this a wild idea? Is this something I should run with? And you really can't get that anywhere else. Like I use my followers as a sounding board a lot, but until you actually are an influencer grinding every day or content creator, maybe I don't really love the term influencer, but here we are. To have this network of people who are in it, who also, who get trolled every day, and who, it's just great to have that camaraderie, to somebody, in the trenches with you. And, so really just a lot in common and with Jimmy. And actually we're quite different personality wise. And I think, he's kind of the engineer, and I'm kind of the, I have a little different way of looking at the world. And I think that those
more
two
like
styles,
artistic, or like, how would you classify it?
So by day, I'm actually in finance and accounting,
That's
but
right.
I have this like really, I'm like a generalist. I love to learn a lot about everything.
Yeah.
And I like to, and I don't really get super specific on, like, when someone asks me, how long do you bake a pizza? I just refuse to answer the question until we have to write a recipe book, right? Because like I love the chaos of the bake, right? And Jimmy, if you
how
watch
big is
him,
the circle? Yeah.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
If you watch Jimmy competing at Vegas, like he's got it down to the quarter second on his watch, and like he's like, he's so scientific, and I'm just a little bit more abstract,
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Jimmy, what was what is your day job, or what was your career prior to pizza?
No, so I'm an engineer, and I still am.
Okay,
and,
you're literally an engineer. I didn't realize
yeah.
that.
So
Okay.
9 to 5 job. Yeah. So that's why I said like pizza's sort of like the side, like hustle,
Yeah,
passion
okay.
project, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I mean, it's it sort of, went from that home baking to doing like these, I was doing pop-ups in my driveway during COVID. And I think that's actually the first time Jim and I met face to face. He only lives about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes
Yeah.
away from me. So he came down one Saturday afternoon. This was after COVID, of course, but I was still doing the driveway pop-ups where I would just set up and, do like 50 pizzas in an afternoon, and people would come pick them up. And some people would hang out. It must be like a driveway party. Other people would just come pick it up and leave. So we were doing that, and I invited Jim down. I was like, hey, why don't you come down and check it out? And so that was really the first time we met in person.
That's cool.
And then then it's just like the evolution happened. We just kept in touch, kept working on bouncing ideas off each other. And then and then the whole class thing kind of happened out of nowhere, which was really, really cool.
Jimmy, I think you're the like 6th or 7th engineer turned pizza maker that I've interviewed this year. I'm not joking. Like it's insane.
It's not surprising because it's like we it's a really good creative outlet. We're all numbers and math, and like Jim said, we're really process oriented, and uber focused on the nuts and bolts of like a project. So having the creative outlet is another, and I was kind of like Jim touched on. I'm a sort of hobbyist photographer too, so that was sort of like where the pizza, Instagram, and photography all came together to like this perfect storm. And I was like, oh, like the light bulb went off one day. I was like, why am I not using my good camera gear to take really good photos of my pizza and start posting them to Instagram? And that's when that sort of like took off.
Jimmy, what immediately struck you about Jim when you first started following him? Like what was it that you think resonated with you, and what do you think has made him such a popular pizza reviewer in your region?
Man, I think it's just his his personality is, for these local pizza shops, it's just so welcoming, and it's so enthusiastic, and he just loves to talk about these shops and their stories. This little mom and pop shop that makes a really good pizza that nobody knows about, and bringing it to the masses. So like because a lot of these shops, people would have no idea about them otherwise, but he has this platform with a ton of followers where he really does bring people to these small businesses, and he doesn't get paid to do it. I mean, he's doing this out of his love of pizza and love of the community. So he's not like a lot of these influencers now. I mean, Jim's kind of like one of the originals. I mean, he's been doing it since like 2012, I think. Which, that was way before any of the so-called influencers or the food.
I mean, it's like pre-video
guys
on Instagram.
Yeah, totally.
Sure, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, he was all Facebook. I mean, he was like his and he still is. I mean, he's got a phenomenal following over there, but I just think it's his personality and his just willingness to help these small pizza shops, get the word out there and let people know, like, hey, this is a really good place. You should go check it out.
Yeah. I want to get to the Virtual Pizza Academy, but it feels like we gotta now invite you, Jim, to say something nice about Jimmy. So I mean, you kind of already mentioned sort of the engineer mind and the photography and stuff, but like, what do you think about his content that has grown his following over 70,000 followers in, you know, less than 5 years or whatever it is?
So his content, and I think one of the reasons, besides being a really good looking pizza and a really high quality photograph, is it's distinct. Right. So there's a few, well, there's more than a few, but there are some people that I can recognize online by the photo of their pizza better than I can their face. And, you know, Jimmy's one of those guys. Like he's got like this signature lighting that obviously the Frico Edge is like that's his autograph. Right. But like, you can always tell, I don't need to see the name on and that's when you know you have a good brand, is when I could look at your product, no logo or name, and I know what it is, right? And the other thing I think we have in common is like just authentic, right? And I don't go for the hype train or you know, like I don't need things sensationalized. I just need you to present it fairly to me. And you know, Jimmy, like he just, you know, he gives it to you like it is, you know, like if it's a good idea, it's a good idea. It's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. But like that, I think that's why we get along so well, because it's just like we're kind of authentic guys, and we're just dads that love pizza and have a passion for it. You know, and I guess the other thing is like we're contrasting personalities, as I said, but like he does make me better. Like he does make me think about like, I should probably worry about the time that I'm putting in here.
I should probably have an answer to that question.
Yeah, I should, you know. But like when we're putting recipe books together and stuff, you can kind of see our styles. Like I want to tell the story of how we're putting this together, and he wants to say we need to make sure every single step is accounted for perfectly. And I think when you know, we put together like a 30-page recipe book for each class. And I think when you see that end product, I think you see the you know, two styles coming together. And I think it really makes me better and it challenges me. And that is what I appreciate most, you know, in the partnership is, you know, all constantly challenging me to do better.
Yeah, and I think that's so important in partnerships because like if you're very similar people, you're almost like stepping on each other's toes, and it like you're not bringing out the best in each other. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense, but also I feel like no area of the country is more typecasted than Philadelphia, like the people of Philadelphia. But when you said like passion and authentic, like I mean, that's Northeast Pennsylvania. That's Philadelphia in a nutshell, right? I mean, that's just sort of like part and parcel with where you guys are from.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's, you know, the if you're fake and inauthentic, it gets weeded out very quickly. Totally. So yeah, it's, you know, everybody has a really good sense of smelling that out. And so you can't get away you can't get away with it for very long if you are. So that's I think the takeaway there.
Yeah, 100%. So okay, so Jim, I am told that, and this is for you. You know, I'm told that you kind of met doing a charity event, or I'm sorry, you kind of did a charity event together, and that's what led to Virtual Pizza Academy. But let's go through what, you know, how this came to be and who these classes are for specifically.
So the original event was Lackawanna College. I had a friend working there, and we were sort of bantering. It might have been over drinks one night as to like how can we do something cool, because they have a culinary school at this local college, Lackawanna College, and we said, how can we do something cool? Because like you have a really awesome facility, and I have a certain desire to teach pizza to folks, and they have a desire to raise funds for scholarships. So I sort of, you know, went back and forth, and then I quickly decided like I can't pull something of this magnitude off by myself, and I'm a horrific event planner, and stresses me out to the max. So I engaged Jimmy to come out, and like I was like shocked. He just jumped at it. He's like, we need to do this, right? So jumped in, we developed our first like manual and like planning. We got, you know, sponsors on board, and that was like that was before the class even started, when we had grande cheese and Lloyd pans and Stanislaus and Corto, and we were even sponsored by Busch Light of all.
Really?
Which is pretty cool.
Okay.
So again, we served some ice cold Busch lattes at the event as well. But people jumped on board. I think Urban Slicer jumped in, AR's Hot Honey, but like, we would ask, thinking, getting ready to get turned down, and people are like, we're in on this one, and I think they just felt that, we were in this for the right reason. We were doing it for the kids. And, that was just super humbling. And, so Jimmy, I don't know if I want to pivot to you to kind of take it from there as to what your experience was with that class.
No, I was going to say, so touching on the sponsors. So, we got all these sponsors, and we put together this really cool swag bag, because we were like, people were paying a lot of money for this. Yeah, it was for charity, but we felt like we wanted to give them value beyond just the class and learning how to make pizza. So that's where the sponsors came in. And, they not only helped us source the ingredients for the class, but they also provided goods for our swag bag. I mean, we had aprons with a patch that had like the class logo. We had, Lloyd pans. We had a Lloyd pan in each bag, an 8x10 pan. I think we had like a bottle of hot honey. It was cool. I mean, the swag bag had a lot of really cool stuff in it. So
your custom spatula, don't forget that.
We had the spatula. Yeah, we had my spatula in there, I think. Yeah. So but beyond that, then, so the class, they have a beautiful teaching kitchen at this facility. I mean, state of the art, top notch, like beautiful facility with a restaurant attached to it that the students will run on the weekends. So a really beautiful space. And but in the teaching kitchen, we were limited to like 10 or 12, I think, seats. So that was one of the reasons, like, we were trying to figure out like the price point of like, where do we put this? Like, how do we price this? Where we're still, we're bringing in enough for the kids, but we also wanted to give value to the people. So, but we sold it out in like a week. I think as soon as we put it up online to sell, it was sold out. And I mean, we did two different styles of pizza. We did like a New York style and a Detroit. Jim did the New York. I did Detroit. But we did the full boat. I mean, it was like a 3-hour class or 4-hour?
It was 4.
It was 4, right? Yeah. So we made dough. We made 2 different styles of dough. We baked the pizzas. We did the full boat, and it was cool. We had the recipe book. That was our first time collaborating to put together the recipe book for the class. And then like after the class, we had so much great feedback, and everybody loved it. And we were just, we were thinking, how do we do this without being constrained by physical location or like a venue, like size of venue?
Yeah.
Because that's the most difficult part, finding a kitchen that can support it. So then we were like, why don't we try to do something online? Because then, anybody in the world can view it. Yeah, it's not the same as being right there in the same kitchen, but we wanted to make it as close as possible to that experience, which is why we picked the platform that we're using. We have multiple cameras, like we'll have a top-down camera, oven camera. We invested in video switchers and audio equipment, wireless mics. I mean, we have like virtually production studios in both of our houses now to pull these off. And which is really cool because, when we do the classes, one of us produces and one of us teaches. So that's another great thing about the partnership is, while one is teaching, the other one's behind the scenes monitoring the chat, switching cameras, we're talking in the ear, hey, there's a question about, the hydration of this dough. And it's so like, we'll answer the question. It's very, very cool. And we're having a lot of fun with it. So, and I mean, we've been doing it since the beginning of this year. We've done 4 live classes or 5 live classes, I think. We took a couple months off over the summer to develop our on-demand curriculum. So now we have on-demand classes on the website, not just live, because that was another evolution. People were saying, oh, well, I can't, what if I can't make it to a live class at 7:30 p.m. on a Thursday night?
Right.
Can I watch a recording? So we wanted to kind of separate that, and we were like, no, let's do on-demand classes that people can download and watch anytime. So there's, we're sort of weaving our way through figuring out like the best way to do these two different styles of classes, live and on demand. So it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun figuring it all out.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, and so there are a lot of pizza classes out there, and people are kind of getting in the game now. But from the jump, I said, we are not going to do Zoom call pizza classes. And that is no offense to anybody using Zoom.
Sure.
I wanted this to feel like an interactive cooking show. And I think Jimmy took to that. And the best way we describe it is there used to be a show, I think it was like Cooking with Emerald or Live with Emerald. The show where the people actually sat at the counter while he was cooking, asking questions. It didn't go as long as some of the others, but that show was part of like my growing up for me. And I always wanted to be one of those people sitting at that table. And we want our students to feel that way. And I think we're successful at doing that because you see, we have a little chat feature in StreamYard. That's not like a Zoom chat. That's, if I'm producing, I'll see the question.
Yeah.
I'll flash the question on the screen. Jimmy will have an AirPod in, and I will pipe into his ear and ask him the question, and he can answer it live on the air to the person asking. This way, the person sees their question, they're validated, they know they're a part of this, and they get instant answers. And we can't hide behind cuts and like edits. And like, this is live. Things go wrong on the air. My home oven was supposed to be at 500, and at the time I tried to put my pizza in, it had dropped in like the low 300s. So that really went wrong on the air. So I showed people how I would navigate through it and kind of go from there, because stuff does happen when you're making pizza, right?
Yeah.
The baby starts crying. Sometimes the phone rings. Like, it's chaos, right? And we like to give them a real representation of what happens and how to react when things happen live on the air. And I think that's a big differentiator.
The kids out sick. Childcare hasn't come, which I dealt with this morning. So who are these pizza classes for? Like, who's your ideal attendee?
So it's a wide range. You want to talk about, Jim?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, I mean, yeah, it's a huge range. I mean, we've had people, just straight novices, beginners, never made a pizza before in their life. That we had those in our first class, which was cool because in our first live class at the culinary school. But yeah, for the on demand, it's anybody from never made a pizza before in your life up to owner operators. Like, we've had some operators come in that wanted to specifically learn how to make a pan-fried Sicilian, which was one of our, that's one of our flagship classes that Jim teaches, which, as you know, is not a very widely known style and is very regional to Northeast PA. So there's a lot of natives from Northeast Pennsylvania that have moved away, and they want to make that style, but they have no idea where to begin. That's where this comes in. I mean, we've had operators that have shops in other states, but are from Northeast PA, and they want to recreate that style. But then we also have people that grew up there that moved away that want to make a certain style. So it's really runs the spectrum of everybody. I mean, both of our teaching styles, we try to keep it, very open and honest, and not try to like speak down to anybody, or we keep it very, very open. So, and I think that really resonates with a lot of people. We're not like, this professional chef that's, saying this is how you do it. And, we're very kind of open with it, and very flexible with our styles.
Yeah. Jim, what's been the most surprising thing about the classes for you? Like, what was something you've taken from it that you didn't really think that you would?
So, wow, there's been a lot of surprises, but the one thing that struck me, and I guess I'll talk about the pan-fried Sicilian class, was I think we had 94 people sign up for that, and I was like, that was something. But then, while we're in StreamYard watching the class live, you get to see how many people are still watching, and like the number didn't change all the way to the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like getting close, it's getting later at night. We go till 9 p.m. And I was like, they're still watching. And the chat was like exploding. And I was just like, wow, like as any teacher will say or professor, they want you participating and asking questions. And I was like, wow, this is a dream that like people are that invested that they want to know more. And it was so cool to be able to answer those questions live on the air. And I was like, wow, we're definitely going to keep doing this. That was the most shocking thing to me, because I knew we had a great idea, but that to me was like proof of concept. This is what we need to keep doing.
Jimmy, has it surprised you at all? Do you guys ever have imposter syndrome in terms of like you'd never really, it sounds like you'd never really like focused on making pizza till 5 years ago, and you have owner operators in the classes. Are you ever like, I don't know. And this is not to take you guys make amazing pizza. I'm not saying you don't. Is there any feeling of that ever?
No, I mean, that's never really crossed my mind. I mean, I just put my head down and make pizza. It's like, and I, just even with competing, I never thought I would compete with these people, these operators and world champions and whatnot. But I was at, I think, my second pizza expo, and Eddie Saluski, Eddie's Pizza 412. He's the one that really got me to sign up. He was like, dude, you should compete. Like, your pizzas are really, really good. You should do it. It's a lot of fun. So I was like, all right, next year I'll sign up. So that year I was like 19th out of like 92 in my first time competing in non-traditional with my Detroit. So that was sort of like a validation for me. I was like, oh, well, maybe my pizza is pretty good. and then, so that's sort of, it's just having, not that, competitions are so subjective, and not that it's the end all be all, but it's like seeing that kind of like just gives you, I guess, a little bit more confidence and assurance that what you're doing is good, and to kind of keep going.
I like to jump in on this one too, because I get this question a lot.
Yeah.
I get the comments, what makes you the authority on pan fried Sicilian or whatnot. So I've been making pizza since I was 14 years old. I did a decade in pizzerias, right? So I have this profound experience that I take with me, and really this is what drives my reviews, is like the pizzerias gave me so much. The people, the experience, maybe it was $5 an hour under the table at the time, but like it was so much more than that to me. It opened me up to a whole new world. And so I've been making these pizzas. Like, we're doing a double crust white class, and somebody's like, okay, and what? Well, I've been making it since I was 14 years old. I know how to do this. But the other thing is, that experience gives me street cred with the owners around town and the managers, and I get invited in, and then they show me, because they know I'm not trying to steal their recipe or open a pizzeria or anything like that. I just want to know about process, and I want to know how to do it right. And my only assumption is there's a better way to do it, and there's a better way to teach it. And I'm trying to get better every day. And like when we rerun a class, that class isn't going to be identical to the prior, because we will have learned more and more. So for me, the imposter syndrome might come from someone saying, well, you're not a classically trained chef, right? Well, I'm not trying to, show you how to make some, worldly French meal. I'm showing you the real way to make real pizza at home. And that's it. And I think we have provided a really authentic, real way to have success at home.
Yeah, it's also sometimes I think a lot about the analogy of like, do you think Scotty Scheffler's swing coach is better at golf than he is? Because like you're capable, a lot of people are capable of teaching things that they're not necessarily capable of doing at the high. But you guys obviously are. So anyway, yeah, I think you're right to feel that way. All right. Jimmy, I did want to, but I have some quick hitters that I want to get to. But first, I did want to make sure we touched on the competing, and you brought it up. How many times have you competed now? What has the experience been like? And it sounds like you'd encourage other people to do it. So, like, why would you?
I'm sorry. I was just returning a work text there.
You're totally fine. You're totally fine. I've had a couple of those. No, I was just asking about competing.
Yeah.
What you get, how many times you've done it, what you enjoy about it, and why you'd encourage somebody to do it if they haven't.
Okay. So yeah. So I think I've done it 4 times. I just the camaraderie between everybody that's back there in the prep kitchen is awesome. I mean, everybody's willing to help other people. It just goes back to that whole pizza community. Like it's just a great community. Everybody's just willing to help and share stories and whatnot. But again, like Eddie, if Eddie never told me, hey, you should sign up, I probably wouldn't have. But it was like, but now I don't know if I'd go to a pizza expo without signing up to compete, because it's just so much fun. I mean, just being in the heat of battle, doing the whole process, even leading up to it. I mean, I make my dough here, I fly with my dough in a cooler, managing temperatures, you're managing time. When you get there, it's like the whole deal of like, okay, I got to put ice in my cooler and make sure my dough stays at this temp. And then by the time, before you even get to the convention center. So just that whole process of figuring that out. And then the day of, like, the whole competition where it's like, it's a stressful, but it's that good stress. And each time you do it, like Jim said, you get better. You take something away from it, and it helps, in every other aspect of our pizza journey, where we're, teaching, or, you get thrown a curveball while you're competing and your oven goes lower than you expected it to. You figure out how to overcome those things, and it just makes you better all around.
Yeah. Jim, you ever going to do it?
I'm going to say no. And here's why. Because if I'm going to make the investment to go out to Vegas, I honestly don't care how my pizza measures up to anyone else. I really don't need that validation. And I'm not saying anybody does it for that, right? But the stress and rigidity of taking the dough with me and figuring out the schedule and practicing, that would ruin my entire trip. And the reason I would go, and the reason I'm there, is the people, right? The people I want to meet. And like, I know so many people from around the country that are into pizza, and those are my, like, movie stars, and I want to meet them.
Yeah.
And so I honestly, I'm a super competitive person when it comes to sports, video games, whatever. I just don't really seek that out in my pizza. And I think that's why I don't make pizza my job, because it's a passion project, and I don't want to make it stressful. I just want to love it and enjoy it.
I've brought up golf twice in the last 5 minutes, which is pretty typical for me. But it's this. People are like, "Do you ever want to work in golf?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." I have no interest, because that's what I love doing to get away from work. So yeah, I super relate. All right, let's get into some quick hitters. Best slice of pizza you've had in the last 30 days. You can extend that timeline a little bit if you want. If it's your own pizza, totally understandable. But I want to know.
All right. So in NEPA, we don't call it a slice; we call it a cut.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yep.
So and it's a tray of pizza, not a pie, right? So the most memorable slice that kind of surprised me in the past 30 days, I was at the Italian festival in Scranton, Pennsylvania, huge Italian festival, and this Old Forge joint, our Carol Janelle's, was serving their new sweet sauce pizza, they called it. And I didn't find the sauce particularly sweet, but it was just like so light, crispy, savory sauce, just a delicious slice. So that one was hitting for me, and that one is definitely the first one that comes to mind when you ask that question.
It sticks in your brain a little bit. Jimmy?
For me, I'm gonna say the pan-fried Sicilian at Pizza Lovin' in Exeter, PA, because Jim and I did this an uni demo at Ace Hardware grand opening. That was about a month ago. So I'm thinking like the 30-day timeline. So, and this place is like right down the road, like maybe a half mile away. And I remember from college, I went to college up his way, and one of my buddies from college introduced me to this place back then, and I haven't had it for probably 15. Oh no, more than that, because I've been back, but yeah, probably hadn't had it for like 10 years. So I told Jim, I was like, as soon as we're wrapped up here, I'm going to Pizza Lovin' and grabbing a couple trays of pizza to take home. So their buffalo chicken, pan fried Sicilian, that was probably the best slice I've had in the last 30 days.
Did it taste like college?
Oh man, it was great. That pizza is phenomenal. It's unreal. It's just so unique.
I love that. All right, I got some ones that I didn't give you guys previews of because I want sort of instant reactions here. Most overrated pizza ingredient.
Ooh.
Let's say extra cheese.
Okay.
All right, and I'll tell you why. Because people that get extra cheese pizza, unless it's a par baked crust, are getting a gum line and raw dough. So, I don't understand having extra cheese and then have just because like it seals off. You can't cook the top layer of the dough. So to me, extra cheese is a no.
Once had a Neapolitan pizza maker tell me cheese, period, is the most overrated ingredient in pizza. So there you go. I disagree, but Jimmy.
For me, I would say like that crumbled sausage that kind of looks like I'm not going to say it, but something that's not so appealing.
Yeah.
That I just don't get like why people, it's like that pre-baked. I guess people use it for convenience because it's already cooked and have to worry about it. But
that texture,
that like crumbled pre-made sausage that so many people use. I don't like that.
All right. A pizza debate that you're just over. You're just over seeing online. You don't want to talk about it anymore. It just needs to be done.
I mean, everybody uses the pineapple thing to pop the ratings and inspire debate. It's been tired for like 4 years now. I do a lot of podcasts over the years, and that's always a question that comes up, and always happy to answer it. But that for me is I'm just got over it.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say that instantly comes to the top of the list for sure.
Yeah,
I guess
it's what I figured you guys would say. Yeah.
A little bit more specific though is the team par bake, team no par bake argument that we have. Maybe Jimmy could weigh in on that.
Yeah,
that's a good one too. Actually, yeah, thanks for the reminder. I should have went with that. Yeah, on the how these Facebook groups are, where it's like everybody's an expert, and there's no swaying opinions one way or the other sometimes. But yeah, the par bake or not par bake for Detroit style pizza is ultra controversial. So if you ever want to drop some bombs, go into like a Detroit pizza group and ask if you should par bake or not, and you'll get like 200 comments in like 60 seconds.
That's amazing. What's really interesting about that too is last week we had the Pizza Power Forum in Atlanta, and people were talking about like some of our panelists were like, I ferment for 7 days. It was like they almost were like trying to top each other with how long they ferment. I mean, they weren't. They were just being honest. But and one of our pizza makers, who's a really well respected pizza maker in the industry, was like, yeah, I par bake everything but my New Yorks, and it's because I don't have a lot of space, and like I don't like we need volume, and like we need to have it ready,
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's like it really depends on what you're trying to do, so like to say that there's a yes or no answer to any of those type of questions is just kind of silly, I think.
100%. And that fermentation question is a good one too, because there's people that are like, if you're not fermenting for at least 72 hours, it's trash. It's like, well, no, there's other ways to do it. Some people don't have the space, the refrigeration, or just space in general to do that. So it's like you work out a dough schedule that works for your process and you figure it out, which, there's just those hardliners. They're like, no, you gotta stay. This is your minimum. So
totally. And it's interesting that you say that, because I interviewed oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, which is so embarrassing. I interviewed a really well-respected pizza guy who said he just recently visited Italy, and like a lot of what they're doing over there is actually like 24-hour ferments that are like where they use I don't even know the technical, just erase this. Okay, next thing. This is inspired by one of your posts, Jimmy. Sicilian Sundays, best time of day to consume pizza. You can get as specific as you want here. This can be a moment in time, like football Sundays or like Friday night, whatever. You can describe the weather. What's your favorite time to eat pizza?
I mean, I think, like you said, football Sunday is perfect. I mean, that's you're having friends over and gonna have the game on. I mean, but you got football basically Thursday nights now, all day Saturday if you're into college football. So it doesn't have to be Sunday, right? So like I just made pizzas Thursday night when the Eagles were playing in the NFL home opener or the NFL opener, in my Univolt in my basement where I have my like bar TV, and like I just made a couple pizzas while we're watching the game with the kids, and it's like that to me is the ultimate, to actually make the pizza while the game's on and serve it hot and fresh there rather than like, getting the pizza beforehand and then having it. So I'd say making the pizza during the game and serving it. Football tailgates are a second, or probably rank up there too with like the next one is like take the uni to the football game and tailgate and make pizzas for everybody at the tailgate.
That sounds awesome.
I have a like very different answer to that. So, so I'm just a very different human being, I guess. So we have Pizza Fridays, like a big, strong tradition in NEPA. And so now my new tagline is Fridays are for the trays, because that's what we call a pizza. But for me, the best time to eat a pizza is like 2:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Because I have a whole rationale, right? Everybody's like, your pizza, if I hear the pizza I got doesn't look like the one you got. Well, I'm not going in on a Friday night. That's like my nightmare, to stand in a crowd to get something that's rushed out and cut. And you know how Friday nights go, right? I want somebody receiving my order. I'm the only one in the place. And that's what I want, to have the best chance of having a fresh, well-crafted pizza that's not rushed. So that's for me, Tuesday at 2:30.
It's very practical. I can't argue with it.
That's I'm gonna have to test that out. That's a good all right.
One. This is gonna be my last one. This will be my last question. I really appreciate you guys doing this. What is something, in the spirit of like we're all students, ongoing learning, what is something you've recently learned about dough? Like what's something that was like a light bulb moment within the last year or so that kind of changed the way you look at the dough making process?
You want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
So my biggest dough sort of realization came from Chef Gregorio Fierro, and because I'm mixing in a KitchenAid mixer. I don't have a fancy spiral or anything like that, and just not having success. This is more than a year ago, and he's like, the KitchenAid's never going to mix the dough right as long as you mix it. Like it'll just get hotter and so he's like, you got to do some bench work. You have to do some stretch and folds no matter what. And I always thought, like, you turn the mixer on, because I bought this thing to make the dough. And so with the KitchenAid, the mix is not going to be complete. You will not be able to build a strong, supple dough the right way without doing a little bench work after. So resting the dough after mixing, when I hit my 72-degree final mix temp, let it rest for 20 minutes, do a little kneading. It only takes like 30 to 60 seconds. Then I let it rest again, do it again, and I get just strong, beautiful doughs. And that actually impacts texture and color later on in the process when you're baking it. So that was a huge transformation in my sort of pizza career.
I'm taking notes. Jimmy?
So for me, I think most recently was just trusting my process was one of my light bulb moments, was because I did a fundraiser pop up at this brewery that I go to. And I was doing a fundraiser for my kids' basketball team. So my process is I'll go in there and make dough the week leading up. And then I do a long pan proof with my dough. And, as the seasons fluctuate, temperatures fluctuate, and that pan proof is ultra critical to get it right with the temperature that you're proofing at, because the way I do it is I do it overnight. So like I'll go at like 9 o'clock, pan the doughs out, 9 p.m. at night, pan the dough, and then I go back at like 6, 7 in the morning the next morning and do the par bakes. So just this past time, I panned them out, and where I had the dough in a rack resting for the overnight proof, it was very warm. I mean, it was like warmer than I expected. And I was a little bit worried. I was like, man, I don't know, like if I'm going to come back in the morning and this is going to be blown up. But so I was kind of stressed about it that night. But when I got there in the morning, it was perfect. And I was like, why was I stressing? Like I've done this a million times before. I knew, like I had a feeling like it was going to be fine, but it was a little bit warmer than expected. So I was a little bit worried, but I guess it's just like trust, I knew the formula that I made the dough for, and I just like had doubts, even after doing it a million times. I still had this doubt in the back of my head that it was going to be overproofed. My dough was going to be just blown up. And when I got there, it was perfect. And I proceeded and made my par bakes, and everything worked out great. So for me, I think it's just, trust what you're doing. And, just know that, with experience comes that trust. And that was a light bulb for me.
Yeah. And as a Philly sports fan, trust the process. I mean,
right.
Well, I don't know about that. Embiid,
we'll see about the Sixers. Yeah, I don't know about the Sixers, but
I know.
We got the Phillies. We got the Phillies rolling right now.
Yeah, so. That's right. That's right. Hey guys, super fun. I really appreciate this. Thanks for all you do for the community, and yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Charlie.
Talk soon.